हामी उठेका छौं, गर्जन्छौं निरन्तर, सीमा हाम्रो सपनाको ढोका अमर, शक्तिको दीप हामी आफै बलाउँछौं, अडिग भई हाम्रो मातृभूमि जोगाउँछौं।
गाई गोरु बेचेर डमरू किन्ने तपाईहरू अब आज आएर घर किन खाली भयो भनेर सोध्नु भएको छ।
Honorable Prime Minister, please introduce the cabinet of ministers of this parliament.
दशैं र तिहार रमाइला हाम्रा चुटका र ख्यालीले, हृदय हाम्रो जुर्मुर्याउँछ जितको झ्यालीले। बैशाखको तालमा नाचौला कहाँ मादले नरहे, नेपाली हामी रहौला कहाँ नेपालै नरहे।
देश विदेशमा डक्टर्स टु डक्टर्स, बिजनेसमेन टु बिजनेस स्टुडेन्ट्स र ओभरअल प्रोफेसनल्सहरूलाई नियुक्ति गरिन्छ। गेस्ट लेक्चर्स, इन्टर्नशिप, इन्डस्ट्री सेमिनार र रिसर्च जस्ता अप्रोचहरू उनीहरूको करिकुलममा इन्टिग्रेटेड भएको हुन्छ। हाम्रो देशमा भने सबैतिर ट्राई गरेर कतै केही काम नपाएपछि लास्ट अप्सन टिचर बन्छन्। अब त्यस्ता टिचरले पढाएका स्टुडेन्ट्सहरू कस्ता होलान् आफै विचार गर्नुहोस्।
I am David Jaisi, the Prime Minister and Minister of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation of this LRS Student Parliament.
जसको शक्ति उसैको भक्ति, यही पारामा चल्दैछ नेपालको राजनीति।
देशमा साक्षरताको कमी छ अरे के, हाँस उठ्यो मलाई। सहरदेखि गाउँसम्म विद्यालय नै विद्यालय, त्यही पनि साक्षरताको कमी छ भन्छन् बा। तर आज सदनमै यस्तो प्रत्यक्ष उदाहरण देखेपछि मान्नै पर्यो, शिक्षा मात्र भएर पर्याप्त रहेनछ, विवेकको पनि अभाव रहेछ। अब नबुझ्नेहरूलाई विजडम के विजडम, बेसिक लजिक थाहा छ? थाहा छैन होला।
विपक्षीहरू सडकको कुनामा उभिएका भाषण दिने र वास्तवमा कहिल्यै पनि काम नगर्ने व्यक्तिहरू जस्तै नै छन्।
Preserve wildlife corridors, crack down on illegal poaching and ensure sustainable land use.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat. अब यस गरिमामय संसदको एक क्षण पनि खेरा नफ्याली उही प्रतिबद्धताका साथ अघि बढौँ। र एक चीज मैले भन्न चाहे, अब प्रश्न सोध्नलाई एक मिनेट दिनेछ र सिधै प्रश्न कुनै भूमिका नबादी प्रश्न सोधिन परिनेछ।
The parliament will lose its purpose unless the ruling and the opposition party put our hands together.
Honorable Minister, I request you to directly get to the points. Thank you, Honorable MPs. Now, before beginning with the discussions, let me inform you about today's session in short. This parliamentary session will be running for 1 hour and 30 minutes. In this special session, we will be addressing to few contemporary issues of the nation. Now, I would like to request Honorable MP Tejasvi Gaudel to raise the question to Ministry of Home Affairs, followed by Finance Ministry.
Right, Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to ask a question to Ministry of Home Affairs. India and Nepal share an open border about 1800 kilometers, allowing the free movement of people between the two countries. While this has facilitated culture and economic ties, it has also led to the growing concerns about security. The porous border has been exploited for illegal activities such as drug smuggling, human trafficking, and movements of insurgents. In the light of security challenges, what concrete steps is the Ministry of Home Affairs to strengthen the coordination and border security between Nepal and India border? How is the ministry working with Nepalese authorities to strengthen surveillance and strengthen coordination? If the ministry keeps on taking wait-and-see approach, we might end up reacting to the crisis rather than preventing it. Let's hope the ministry isn't just putting band-aids on the problem that needs surgery. Otherwise, we will end up with a border that's more sheath than a shield. Thank you.
Right, Honourable Speaker, through you, I'd like to address the question directed towards the Ministry of Home Affairs. Let's hear a story that should have never happened. Name, Lakshmi Thapa. Date of birth, 17th June 1988. And case, missing person. Last seen, 2nd October 2022, at the border in Sunoli. Lakshmi was promised a job in India, a better life. Instead, she became a victim of human trafficking. Every year, lives like Lakshmi's vanish, swallowed by the open border, exploited by criminals. And yet, where was the urgency? Where was the action? Perhaps those who should have fought for her were too busy arguing, too busy chasing power, too busy looking everywhere except where it mattered. हामी उठेका छौं गर्जन्छौं निरन्तर सीमा हाम्रो सपनाको ढोका अमर शक्तिको दीप हामी आफै बलाउँछौं अडिग भई हाम्रो मातृभूमि जोगाउँछौं Lakshmi's story is one of the many. Her mother still keeps the door open at night, hoping that she will return. But hope alone is not enough. We need action. Without action, we lose not just lives, but our future. Right Honorable Speaker, respected members of the Parliament, Nepal's borders are not just lines on a map. They are the guardians of our sovereignty. An open border brings friendship, but also invites threats. Today, I stand before you to present the Ministry of Home Affairs actions to safeguard our nation. A strong border is a strong nation. A weak border is an invitation to chaos. Respected members, the Ministry of Home Affairs is profoundly aware of the immense suffering caused due to the misuse of our open border. Every human that we lose to the dark underworld of human trafficking is not just a name in a file. It is a son or daughter, a sibling of our great nation. Every drug deal that crosses our borders pollutes the lives of our youth and erodes the foundation of our future. Every ounce of gold or rare material smuggled across our borders feels like a fragment of our nation's own soul slipping away. But, respected members, this ministry is not paralyzed by guilt. It is fueled by it. Every sleepless night we endure is for Nepal. We work relentlessly because security is not a privilege. It is a necessity.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I request Honorable MP Shivani Paudel to raise the question to Finance Ministry, followed by Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Will Nepal's economy ever see a brighter future? Right Honorable Speaker, through you today I would like to raise a question to the Honorable Ministry of Finance. Every time we think about the economic condition of Nepal, we are filled with dismay. The NEPSE index has hit its lowest point in the past 5 years and the country continues to struggle with large trade deficiency. The public debt of the country currently stands at around 25 trillion rupees and the condition has worsened to the point where citizens spend more for foreign tourism than the country earns from its total exports. Are there any strategies followed by the Finance Ministry or are they just going to stay hand in hand and do absolutely nothing to build the financial stability of the nation?
With the prior permission of the Right Honourable Speaker, I'd like to commence. I must first thank my esteemed colleague from the opposition for the question, though I must say, the sudden concern for Nepal's economy is as surprising as a fish discovering water. The very hands that held the steering wheels of this nation for decades now stand before us, shaking their heads at the potholes they themselves have dug. But let's indulge them, for it seems nostalgia has hit them hard and blurred their memory for their own past mistake. They speak of a struggling NEPSE index, a widening trade deficit, and a mounting public debt. How fascinating is it? Now, where was this wisdom when Nepal's economy was grasping for air under their rule? Where was this concern when their policies sent investors running faster than an athlete at an Olympic sprint race? And where was this outrage when they mortgaged Nepal's future for short-term political gains? गाई गोरु बेचेर डमरु किन्ने तपाईहरु अब आज आएर घर किन खाली भो भनेर सोध्नु भएको छ. How convenient of them to just raise a question objectifying their own past deeds and talk about when Nepal's economy shall see a brighter future. पहिले कहाँ थियो यो ज्ञान? उद्योगहरु तासको घर चाहिँ ढल्दा तपाईं नै मञ्चमा भाषण गरिरहनु भएको थिएन र? वैदेशिक लगानीकर्ता भाग्दा तपाईं नै हातमा हात बाँधेर टुलु टुलु हेरिरहनु भएको थिएन र? देशको भविष्य धितो राखी तपाईं नै कुर्सी सिंहारिरहनु भएको थिएन र? तर अहिले आएर त अचानक लौ नेपालको अर्थतन्त्र कहिले चम्किन्छ त भनेर प्रश्न सोध्नु भएको छ. ओहो, कस्तो अनौठो संयोग पो रहेछ. अझ उहाँहरू नेपालका नागरिकहरूले विदेशमा बढी खर्च गरिरहेको छन् भनी चिन्ता व्यक्त गर्नुहुन्छ. साच्चै अनि तपाईहरुकै पालामा होइन र देशलाई उडान मोडमा राखेर श्रमिकहरूलाई विदेश पठाइरहेको?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I provide the floor to Honorable MP Anush Paudel to raise the question to Foreign Affairs Ministry, followed by Education Ministry.
Right Honorable Speaker. दसैँ र तिहार रमाइला हाम्रा चुटका र ख्यालीले हृदय हाम्रो जुर्मुर्याउँछ जितको झ्यालीले बैशाखको तालमा नाचौला कहाँ मादले नरहे नेपाली हामी रहौँला कहाँ नेपालै नरहे These words are written by Madhav Prasad Gimire, a shining star in Nepali literature. Every time I hear or recite this poem, I feel my heart sinking as these words are slowly but steadily becoming a reality. Our customs and traditions are fading away because the youth who should be standing strong as the pillar of our culture and continue our legacy are heading abroad. Among the many youth who leave our country, a large portion face mistreatment and exploitation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs proudly states its commitment to promotion of peace and diplomacy. However, I question whether Nepal is truly upholding this principle when thousands of Nepali youth are subjected to labor exploitation and even human trafficking abroad. Does Nepal truly promote its peace and diplomacy by allowing its youth to be exploited and succumb to death on foreign soil? मैले यस सन्दर्भमा केही थप्न चाहे अमेरिकाले युएस एड रोकिसक्यो भारतले पढ्ने विद्यार्थी फर्काइसक्यो तर प्रधानमन्त्री र परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालय भने वैदेशिक भ्रमणका लागि निमन्त्रणाको पर्खाइमा छन् हामी जो नेपाल हाँसेको हेर्न चाहन्थ्यौं नेपालीको मन नाचेको हेर्न चाहन्थ्यौं अब नेपाल बाँच्ने हो कि हैन भन्ने अवस्थामा पुगिसकेका छौं लौ मन्त्रीज्यू बताइदिनु पर्यो यस प्रश्नका उत्तरहरू बचाइदिनु पर्यो नेपाललाई धन्यवाद
Honorable Speaker, respected members of this esteemed House, and my dear Nepali brothers and sisters. Today I stand not just as Foreign Minister, but as a proud Nepali, a defender of our dignity, and a voice for those who build our nation, whether within our borders or beyond them. I express my gratitude to my friend from the opposition for reminding us of Madhav Prasad Gimire's timeless poetry. His words reflect our culture, our identity, and our emotions. But my dear friend, poetry alone does not run a country. If emotions could solve problems, we would have already fixed them by singing Lok Dohari every morning. Yes, the words are powerful. Nepali hami rahounla kaha Nepalai narahe. The poet asks a question, but let me answer it loud and clear today. Nepal rahन्छ नेपाली रहन्छ संस्कृति रहन्छ स्वाभिमान रहन्छ दशैं and तिहार are not just festivals, they are proof that no matter where Nepali goes, Nepal lives in their hearts. Today, even in New York and London, people fly kites in Dasai. In Australia and Middle East, people light diyos in Tihar. This is not culture fading away, this is culture conquering the world. Yes, many young Nepalese go abroad for work. And yes, some face hardships. But since when these Nepalese fear struggle? The same hands that once carried kukuris into battle now carry the weight of our economy. Sending over NPR 1 trillion in remittances last year alone. That is not a sign of weakness, that is power. Our workers abroad are not just laborers, they are economic warriors, building Nepal's future with every rupee they send home.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I provide the floor to Honorable MP Samiksha Lama to raise the question to Education Ministry followed by Defense Ministry.
सम्माननीय सभामुख महोदय, केही समय अगाडि मैले एउटा भिडियो देखेको थिएँ। उक्त भिडियोमा एउटा पत्रकारले ग्रामीण क्षेत्रका साना बालबालिकाहरूलाई एउटा प्रश्न सोध्छन्। प्रश्न यस्तो थियो, अनि तिमीहरू भविष्यमा के बन्ने योजना छ त? ती साना बालबालिकाहरूले म त ठुलो भएर ट्रक ड्राइभर बन्छु, म त ठुलो भएर डोजर चलाउँछु भने। ती साना बालबालिकाहरूको सपनाले सहर बाहिरको नेपालको तीतो वास्तविकतालाई झल्काएको छ र ती बालबालिकाहरूको त्यस्तो गरिबी, अभाव र दरिद्रताबाट उम्काउने एउटा मात्र उपाय छ र त्यो हो गुणस्तरीय शिक्षा। तर हाल नेपालको शिक्षा अवस्था दयनीय छ। हातमा गन्न सकिने केही गने चुनेका विद्यालयहरू बाहेक अधिकतम स्कुलहरू सन्तोषजनक छैनन्। यसरी म शिक्षा क्षेत्रका केही समस्याहरू समीक्षा गर्न चाहन्छु। नम्बर 1 मा छ प्र्याक्टिकलिटीको अभाव। सरकारी विद्यालयहरू भनेको केही वर्ष पढाउने अर्थात् घोकाउने, रटाउने, गधालाई भारी बोकासरी ब्याग बोकाउने, दशैं तिहारमा मरी होमवर्क गराउने र अन्तिममा उक्त विद्यार्थी घोक्ने र रट्ने प्रवृत्तिमा उत्तीर्ण भएको छ भनी मार्कसिट प्रदान गर्ने संस्था भएको छ। कम्प्युटर, प्रोजेक्टर, ल्याब तथा प्र्याक्टिकल फिल्ड त सरकारी विद्यालयमा सम्झिने पानी छम्किने भएको छ। देश विदेशमा डक्टर्स टु डक्टर्स, बिजनेसमेन टु बिजनेस स्टुडेन्ट्स र ओभरअल प्रोफेसनल्सहरूलाई नियुक्ति गरिन्छ। गेस्ट लेक्चर्स, इन्टर्नसिप, इन्डस्ट्री सेमिनार र रिसर्च जस्ता अप्रोचहरू उनीहरूको करिकुलममा इन्टिग्रेटेड भएको हुन्छ। हाम्रो देशमा भने सबैतिर ट्राई गरेर कतै केही काम नपाएपछि लास्ट अप्सन टिचर बन्छन्। अब त्यस्ता टिचरले पढाएका स्टुडेन्ट्सहरू कस्ता होलान् आफै विचार गर्नुहोस्। दोस्रो छ राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप। हाम्रा सरकारी विद्यालयहरूमा व्याप्त राजनीति छ। शिक्षा दिने र आर्जन गर्ने जस्तो पवित्र थलोमा पढाइ भन्दा लडाई र राजनीतिक पार्टीको पछि लगाइन्छ। म यही प्रसङ्गमा एउटा पत्रिकाको पोस्ट पढ्न चाहन्छु। The Himalayan Times. School has started 7 months ago, but students have no book. तल लेखेको छ, local authorities are actively involved in preparing school compounds. ल त्यस्तो व्यस्त के को लागि रहेछन् त? For upcoming elections, but have done nothing to supply textbooks. त्यसै गरी टियुमा एक्जाम पोस्टपोन हुनु र पेपर हराउनु भनेको बिहान उठेर घाम झुल्कनु झै साधारण बनेको छ। केही शिक्षकहरू त्यसैसँगै राजनीतिक पहुँचका कारण शिक्षक बनेका केही शिक्षकहरूको क्वालिफिकेसन हेर्ने हो भने उनीहरू आफै शिक्षा लिनुपर्ने अवस्थामा छन्। उनीहरू न त नवीन प्रविधिसँग तालिम प्राप्त हुन्छन्, न त उनीहरूको क्षमता जाँच्न लाइसेन्स एक्जाम नै लिइन्छ। तेस्रोमा छ लगानीको अभाव। आर्थिक वर्ष 2081-82 मा सम्पूर्ण बजेटबाट 10.12% छुट्याएको छ भने आर्थिक वर्ष 2080-81 मा 11.26% छुट्याएको थियो। तुलनात्मक हिसाबले यस आर्थिक वर्ष 0.35% को दरले घटेको छ। अब राज्यले शिक्षामा जोड दिने इति र विद्यार्थी संगठन यति, त्यसमाथि पनि छुट्याएको रकममा अधिकतम रकम त ती शिक्षकहरूको तलब र भत्तामा नै जान्छ। यसरी स्कुल्सको इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर त नेपाली उखान बाहिर चिल्लो र भित्र खोक्रो भन्न पनि नसुहाउने भएको छ। बाहिर खोक्रो भित्र पनि झन खोक्रो छ। विद्यार्थीहरूलाई न त प्र्याक्टिकल नलेज दिइन्छ, न बिरामी पर्दा उपचार सुविधा नै छ। राज्यको माल गोजीभित्र हाल प्रवृत्ति अनुयायीहरूले साना बालबालिकाहरूको खाजामा समेत भ्रष्टाचार गर्छन्। यसरी दुःखद रूपमा सरकारी विद्यालयहरू खाडी राष्ट्रमा काम गर्न पठाउने इन्डस्ट्री झैँ बनेको छ। यसलाई समाधान गरी जनताहरूमा सरकारी विद्यालय प्रतिको विश्वास जित्न र हाम्रा नागरिकहरूलाई समान एवं गुणस्तरीय शिक्षा प्रदान गर्न उक्त मन्त्रालयले के कस्ता गतिविधिहरू सञ्चालन गरेको छ। मेरो प्रश्नसँग म एउटा छोटो कविता पनि गुनगुनाउन चाहे। जसको शक्ति उसैको भक्ति, यही पारामा चल्दैछ नेपालको राजनीति। हराउँछ जनशक्ति, ल है हराउँछ जनशक्ति, हराउँछ लगानी, भ्रष्टाचारीले कहाँबाट गर्छ प्रगति। जनताको क्रान्ति, नेताको होडबाजी, कहिले देख्ने हो समृद्धि नेपाली। धन्यवाद।
Honorable Speaker and esteemed member of the Parliament, education is the backbone of nation's progress, not just a policy. It's a promise, it's a responsibility, and a vision for a brighter future. I understand the growing dissatisfaction of students for opportunity, parents for quality education, and teachers waiting for better resources. But let me assure you, यो सरकार हातमा हात राखेर चुपचाप बस्न निर्वाचित भएको होइन. We are not here to make any excuses. We are here to make changes. While the opposition may raise some doubts, we respond with actions. They are not just plans written in the paper, they are reality in progress. Let us move forward together hand in hand because the future of today's Nepal will be written in classrooms. तपाईले उठाउनु भएको सवालहरू एकदमै गम्भीर रहेका छन् र यसको समस्याहरू समाधान गर्न प्रतिबद्धता छ। तर शिक्षाको सुधार नभए भन्ने निष्कर्षमा पुग्ने अघि केही प्रगति पनि हेरौँ। प्र्याक्टिकलिटीको अभाव, तपाईँले जोड सोडले भन्दै हुनुहुन्छ कि प्र्याक्टिकलिटीको अभाव छ भनेर। हो, विगतको केही समयमा नेपालमा थ्योरिटिकल शिक्षा बढी जोड दिएको छ, तर अब हेरौँ प्र्याक्टिकलिटी कता कता छैन। काठमाडौँको उदाहरण लिउँ, काठमाडौँका गभर्मेन्ट स्कुलहरूमा प्र्याक्टिकलिटीमा एकदमै जोड दिएको छ। हरेक शुक्रबार नो बुक फ्राइडे भनेर एउटा कार्यक्रम लागू गरेको छ, जसमा काठमाडौँको विद्यार्थीहरूले विभिन्न कुराहरूको सिप शिक्षा पाउन सक्छन्। अब हजुर भन्नुहुन्छ कि काठमाडौँ मात्र एउटा एकदमै विकसित ठाउँ छ, तर अब अरू ठाउँमा पनि जाऊँ न त। पोखरा, विराटनगर अनि नेपालका विभिन्न ठाउँहरूमा पनि हेरौँ। पोखरादेखि विराटनगरमा हामीले स्टेम एजुकेसन सिस्टम, आइसिटी एन्ड डिजिटल लिट्रेसीको पनि विकास गर्दै गएका छौँ। त्यहाँका विद्यार्थीहरूले विभिन्न कुराहरूको बारेमा शिक्षा पाउन सक्छन्। तराईका ठाउँमा हामीले प्र्याक्टिकल एजुकेसन र स्किल लर्निङ प्रोग्रामहरू ल्याएका छन्, जसमा विद्यार्थीहरूले शिक्षा पाउँछन्, जस्ता मेकानिक, प्लम्बिङ, इलेक्ट्रिसियन बन्न शिक्षा पाउँछ। त्यसले नेपालको विकास, नेपालको रोजगारमा मात्रै विकास गर्दैन, त्यसले नेपालीको एउटा जुन लिभिङ स्ट्यान्डर्ड्स त्यसलाई पनि अपग्रेड गर्दछौँ। हामी खालि शिक्षाको बारेमा हामी आफ्नो गोजी भर्न मात्रै सोच्दैनौँ, हामी सबै नेपालीको विकासको लागि सोच्दछौँ। अब जाऊँ राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप। तपाईँले भन्नुभयो कि नेपालमा राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप एकदमै धेरै छ। अब हामी सबैको सहमति छ कि नेपालमा राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप गर्नु हुँदैन भनेर, तर हामीले यस्तो विद्यालयमा राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप मुक्त हुनुपर्छ भन्ने हाम्रो सहमति रहेको छ। यसैले सरकार शिक्षक भर्तीमा पारदर्शिता अनि अनिवार्य लाइसेन्स परीक्षण र शिक्षक ट्रेनिङ स्ट्यान्डर्डाइजेसनमा हामीले एकदमै जोड दिएका छौँ। Teachers are the heart of education. Let's not forget that a well-motivated teacher does not teach, they inspire students. Also, postponement of exams in TU is a disgrace for Nepali education. We are bringing and implementing new models to reduce the postponement of exam in TU. लगानीको अभाव, तपाईले जोडसोडले भन्दै हुनुहुन्छ कि लगानीको अभावको बारेमा। अब बजेटको अघिल्लो वर्ष भन्दा के अंशले घटेको छ। हामीले त्यो बजेट घटे पनि हामीहरू रुँदै बसेका छैनौँ, हामीहरू के गर्न खोजिरहेका छौँ। कम बजेट भए पनि हामीहरूले डिजिटल लर्निङतिर हामी लागेका छौँ। इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेभलपमेन्टमा पनि केही कमी गरेका छैन र छात्रवृत्ति कार्यक्रममा पनि जोड दिएका छौँ। लगानी भइरहेका छन्। साथै भ्रष्टाचारको नियन्त्रणका लागि अनुगमन प्रणाली एकदमै कडो बनाउँदैछौँ। अब सरकारी विद्यालयमा निःशुल्क पाठ्यपुस्तक, छात्रवृत्ति र पोषणयुक्त खाजा पाइनेछ। The government is fully aware of these challenges. We are taking concrete steps to address them. We are increasing the education budget, forming partnership with private and national organizations, and introducing policies. But this is not the work of government alone. We all need to unite for development of Nepal. Without us youth and without the help of citizens in Nepal, we cannot do anything. So I invite you all to stand together and help develop Nepal together. हामी आलोचनाको स्वागत गर्छौँ, किनभने यसले सुधारको बाटो देखाउँदछ। तर शिक्षा परिवर्तन रातारात हुँदैन, हामीले निरन्तर सुधार गरिरहनु प्रक्रिया छ। सरकार शिक्षक व्यावहारिक, समावेशी र प्रभावकारी बनाउन प्रतिबद्ध गर्दछौँ र हामी जस्ता सचेत नागरिकले मात्र नेपालको विकास हुन सक्छौँ। अन्तिममा म नेपाल हाँसेको देख्न चाहन्छु, नेपालीको मन नाचेको देख्न चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
Now I request Honorable MP Subeksha Khanal to raise the question to Defence Ministry, followed by Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Ministry.
Greetings, Right Honorable Speaker. Through you, I wish to address my question to the Honorable Minister of Defence, if we can still call it defence under your leadership. Our security is a national embarrassment, and it's time that today, finally, someone just held up a mirror to this mess. Minister Ji, your recruitment process reeks of political favoritism. Are we hiring soldiers based on their skills or just based on some pitiful connections that today they have? Should we prepare for the battles with the warriors or just some walking, talking political favors? If it's the latter, don't be surprised, Honorable Minister, when our enemies stroll into Kathmandu laughing. And then we have the recent brutal murder case of our own key security personnel, which was, of course, met with a response slower than a snail itself. Was this your negligence, indifference, or sheer incompetence? If this is how we protect our protectors, God protect us when the real problems arise and we need to face them. Then we have a cancer feasting our nation for several years today. Smuggling, which has turned our borders into a smuggler's paradise. Of course, busier than the roads of Kathmandu itself. Today, the smugglers, they have VIP passes where our custom officials are just busy taking tea breaks, coffee breaks. If it's so, should we rename our beloved nation as the smuggle land and just charge entry fees for the foreigners to, yes, come visit our nation? Would you like something for your entertainment? Yes, of course. I would love to show you how neatly and tidily smuggling goes between our borders. This isn't just embarrassing, Honorable Minister. It's a slap to our sovereignty. And the Nepal army moonlighting as the real state moguls. Thermo, Rakshakti, Rakshita, protect your duty and it protects you. But here, it's land grabbing over peacekeeping. Is this your grand strategy? Grab first, defend never? Honorable Minister, these aren't just scandals. They are the betrayals of public trust which you have been doing since several years today. The nation is watching and the patience is wearing thin. Act now or just simply step aside for someone who can actually do a better job than you do. Because if this is how we protect our country, if this is how we protect and defend our Nepal, then we might as well hand the keys to our enemies. They'll probably do a better job than you do. Lastly, I really hope that our Honorable Minister of Defense at least has some intellect to understand what defense actually means. Thank you.
देशमा साक्षरताको कमी छ अरे के हाँस उठ्यो मलाई सहरदेखि गाउँसम्म विद्यालय नै विद्यालय त्यही पनि साक्षरताको कमी छ भन्छन् बा तर आज सदनमै यस्तो प्रत्यक्ष उदाहरण देखेपछि मान्नै पर्यो शिक्षा मात्र भएर पर्याप्त रहेनछ विवेकको पनि अभाव रहेछ अब नबुझ्नेहरूलाई विजडम के विजडम बेसिक लजिक थाहा छ थाहा छैन होला अब नेपाल आर्मी र सुरक्षाको लागि प्रदान गरिएको जमिनलाई ल्यान्ड ग्राबिङ भन्छन् भने यिनीहरूले सोधेको प्रश्नको उत्तर मैले दिइहाले भने पनि के नै बुझ्लान् र अब त्यही पनि त्यत्रो ब्लड बीपी सुगर सब हाई गरेर मेटिकुलसली रिसर्च गरेको प्रश्नहरूको उत्तर नदिँदा सानो चित्त दुख्ने पो हो कि अब चित्तको त मतलब मलाई थिएन तर आफ्नो कर्तव्यको कुरा आउँदाखेरि सभा सदस्यले एकदम मायाका साथ सोधेको प्रश्नहरूको उत्तर दिइहालौँ न त On army recruitment process, opposition claims that army recruitment is influenced by politics. My goodness, but do they even know what they're talking about? The recruitment process is strictly professional, transparent, and free from any political influence. Today's army recruitment process is completely based on merit. We're focusing on building a stronger, more capable army rooted in the true values of our nation. We've completely refined our system to ensure fairness and competence, something the opposition clearly doesn't understand or is too embarrassed to understand. And murder of 2 military officers. अब राष्ट्रिय अफिसर्सहरूको मृत्युलाई त आफ्नो स्वार्थको लागि सम्मान नगर्नेहरूले मलाई मुख बिगारी राजीनामा दे भन्ने के अधिकार छ खै अब फेरि डिफेन्सको अर्थ रे हसाउँछन् बिहान संसद हसाउँछु भनेर आएका छन् क्या हो आज डिफेन्स मिनिस्टरलाई नै डिफेन्सको अर्थ सोध्छु वाह मेरो लागि त ब्रेकिङ न्यूज भन्ने भयो त तर लेट्स मेक one thing clear. The Ministry of Defense, along with law enforcement, has worked tirelessly to investigate these deaths, following all leads and gathering evidences and whatnot. We've allocated significant resources to uncover the truth and bring justice, and we won't stop until we do. On smuggling across the borders. Oh, the opposition suddenly cares about border security. How touching. How sweet of you to suddenly care about border security. Maybe you should have held off that concern for a while, considering it's about a decade too late.
Today, we have taken serious measures strengthening border patrols and upgrading surveillance technologies. We've been closely working with international agencies to curb illegal activities, and our efforts are already showing results. Our focus is to protect Nepal's border and sovereignty, and we are doing it very effectively. And calling Nepal a smuggle land coming from the opposition that was recently caught in a sugar smuggling case. My goodness, interesting. Okay, perhaps you should stop calling the country a smuggling hub when you yourself acted as the best supplier for these illegal activities. On the Nepal Army's involvement in land grabbing. अब यसको र विपक्षको meticulous research को बारेमा त हामीले सुरुमै हल्का कुरा गर्यौं तर अब अझै राम्रोसँग बुझौं है त. The lands in question are strategic military zones reserved for national defense and long-term stability. These areas are very crucial for Nepal's security and will help ensure we are prepared for any future challenges. यस्तो baseless claims गरेर पाउँछ चाहिँ के? हुन त किन नपाउनु व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ हैन त. I urge the opposition to recognize that national security is not an issue to politicize but a shared responsibility. हैन आज 81 राष्ट्रिय प्रेम कहाँबाट आउँछ के भने हुन्छ नि देशलाई चाहिएको बेला त मुसाले बिरालो देखे झै लुकेको थियो के रे 81 आज यस्तो राष्ट्रिय भक्त भइदिएको अम्मै यत्रो चिन्ता लिएर त कस्तो गाह्रो पर्यो होला है तिमीहरुलाई. तर बुझिराख्नुहोस्, true leadership means offering real solutions and standing firm in the face of adversity. If the opposition is capable of anything more than shouting baseless questions from across the aisle, the nation is still waiting. Right Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to wrap up by saying, हाम्रो ढाल अटल छ, कसैको वारले चर्कदैन, हाम्रो साहस हिमाल सरी आँधीले पनि हल्ल्याउँदैन. सिमाना हाम्रो फलामको छिनारले आँट कसको छ, रगतले लेखेको इतिहास मेट्न सक्ने हिम्मत कसको छ. तिमीहरू जस्तो कमजोर इतिहासमै हराउँछौ सुनेको छ होला नि सिंहसँग लड्न जाने बाख्रा कहिले फर्केर आउँदैन. Thank you so much, honorable officials and distinguished members of this assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I request Honorable MP Lenisa Bhatta to raise the question to Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Ministry, followed by the Ministry of Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Through you, I would like to ask a very crucial question to the Minister of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation of Nepal. Nepal's aviation sector has faced significant challenges over this year, including a high frequency of air crashes, outdated infrastructure, and insufficient regulatory oversight. Since 2013, all Nepalese airlines have been banned from operating in European Union airspace due to the safety concerns highlighted by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. Despite years of empty promises and insignificant reforms, your ministry's gross incompetence, achamata, has not only endangered lives but also left ordinary Nepali citizens to suffer the consequences of a broken system. While countless families struggle with the fallout of these safety failures, are we supposed to believe that speeches and official reforms will fix this deep-rooted issue? So, what short-term and long-term measures are being taken under your leadership to enhance aviation safety standards and work towards the removal of this humiliating ban on all Nepalese airlines in European airspace? Thank you.
The greatest ability we have as humans is not to change the world, rather to change ourselves. A very warm good afternoon to the Right Honorable Speaker and everyone present. Nepal has come a long way. From 104 years long autocratic rule and 240 years long monarchy and to current democracy, our country has really come a long way. But one thing that has been persistent throughout the history of Nepal is Sukhi ra Samriddha Nepalko chahana. Ladies and gentlemen, नेपालको उड्डयन क्षेत्रमा टर्बुलेन्स आएको कुरा म पनि नकार्न सक्दिन. Frequent air crashes, outdated infrastructure and regulatory gaps have held us back. And let's not forget the EU's 2013's Aviation bans a bitter pill that we have been forced to swallow. But unlike the opposition who only point fingers and cite dramatically, we are actually taking responsibility and implementing real concrete solutions. Because that's what leadership looks like, isn't it? Aina? Firstly, we are overhauling the CAAN to separate the regulator and operator. We are ensuring clear oversight, greater accountability, and a system that actually works. Infrastructure development is in full swing. Airports are being modernized, navigation systems upgraded, and international safety benchmarks met. You see, we are in the business of progress, not excuses. तपाईहरुलाई कराएर मात्र सबै काम यतिकै हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ भने मन्दिरको अगाडि गएर गराउनुहोस् सायद कसैले 2 रुपैयाँको असल सोचको भिख दिन्छ कि Anyways, let's not stop there. We are ensuring our aviation professionals receive world-class training because what good is an updated system without skilled individuals to operate it? Pilots, air traffic controllers, engineers, everyone involved is being equipped with the world-class expertise and knowledge to meet the highest safety standards. If you want 1 year of prosperity, grow grain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. And if you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. And that's exactly what we are doing. To dear opposition, हामीलाई कामदार चाहिएको छ, ठगदार होइन. Speaking of the future, let's talk about fleet modernization. Airlines are being encouraged to retire their outdated aircraft and replace them with newer and more efficient models. We are also engaging in continuous dialogues with the ICAO and European Union to align Nepal's aviation sector with global best practices. Now to those sitting across from me, wagging their fingers and murmuring their doubts, let me be clear. This government does not operate on empty rhetoric. जब हाम्रो परिश्रमले नेपालका हवाई जहाजहरूले सारा विश्वका आकाश चुमिरहेका हुन्छ नि तब तपाईहरु तलबाट हात हलाउनु होला है त्यति विनम्र अनुरोध छ So to those who say we are not capable, I say this: we are not grounded by the past, we are taking off towards a future when Nepal's skies are as safe as they are breathtaking. The eagle does not fear the storm, for it knows it can rise above it, and rise we shall. हामी भवन बनाउन जान्छौं तपाईले गुण्डाहरुको जुलुस पठाइदिनुहुन्छ हामी मन्दिर बनाउन जान्छौं तपाईले एक ट्रक भरि ढुङ्गाहरुको प्रहार पठाइदिनुहुन्छ हामी देश बनाउन जान्छौं तपाईहरुले हाम्रै जलेको पुतला पठाइदिनुहुन्छ अब देश कसरी बनाउने हामीले हामी आफ्नो कर्तव्य अवश्य निभाउने छौं माननीय ज्यूहरुले काले काले सँगै मिलेर खाऊ भाले भन्ने यो सोच चाहिँ नराख्दिनु होला यति अनुरोध छ है म एउटा कुरा सबैले आह्वान गर्न चाहे प्रतिपक्षलाई मात्र होइन सारा नेपालीहरुलाई यो झै झगडा किन यो अराजकता किन यो आलोचना किन के हाम्रा पुर्खाले हामीलाई यो देश वीरतामा दिएर गएका हुन् र पक्कै पनि होइन Criticism has its own place but collaboration takes us forward हाम्रो देश डुब्नै लाग्यो किनारा लगाइदेऊ कराएर मात्र होइन हात बढाएर सकाइदेऊ कराएर मात्र होइन हात बढाएर सकाइदेऊ थ्यांक यू एन्ड धन्यवाद
Now before moving forward, I would like to pause the session for a minute. Due to the lack of time, we have brought few changes to the session. अब विपक्षी सांसदहरूलाई प्रश्न सोध्न 1 मिनेट र मन्त्रीहरूलाई आफ्ना मन्तव्य राख्न 3 मिनेट दिइनेछ धन्यवाद अब म विपक्षी सांसद सुप्रिम कोइरालालाई एनर्जी वाटर रिसोर्स र इरिगेसन मन्त्रालयलाई प्रश्न सोध्न अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु
Right Honorable Speaker, through you I like to address to the Minister of Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation. As the saying goes, Uddyamen hi siddhanti karini na manorathe. Success is achieved through efforts, not just by wishing. With this in mind, I would like to draw the attention of the honorable members in this house to an important issue related to Nepal's water resource management and hydropower potential. As we all know, Nepal is considered as the second richest country in the world in terms of water resources, with immense potential of hydropower generation. Despite of this natural wealth, our current installed capacity is only 3200 megawatts, which also decreases by 25% in dry season. Instead of finding a sustainable solution, Nepal signed an agreement to import up to 600 megawatts of electricity from India. Seeing this situation, I feel as if our country is begging with a golden bowl in hand. Right, Honorable Speaker. Considering this, I would like to ask the Honorable Minister that how does the Ministry plans to manage this seasonal fluctuation in hydropower generation caused by Nepal's monsoon-dependent water flow? Additionally, what strategies are being implemented to ensure that the import of electricity supports the immediate need without hindering the long-term growth and development of our nation's domestic hydropower sector? Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Through you, I address the House today on a vital subject of Nepal's hydropower potential. I acknowledge the Honorable MP's growing concern that Nepal is yet to harness this complete potential, leading to continued electricity imports during the dry season. Here's the reality. Nepal's monsoon-driven hydropower generation leads to surplus production during the rainy seasons, forcing us to sell the excess electricity. But in dry season, when river flow decreases, we temporarily import power. If we had better storage solutions, we wouldn't need to import at all. And guess what? That's what we are doing. Pumped hydro storage systems, battery energy storage systems, and regional grid interconnection systems all are being adopted for fortifying Nepal's energy sector. Regional grid interconnection systems allow reliable cross-border power sharing with our neighboring countries during the time of surplus and deficit. There are several such projects underway with India and China that promise a more reliable electricity access to all the Nepal. Pumped hydro storage systems provide immense potential for storage of hydropower. Over 2,800 such sites has been identified which doesn't even require to dam any rivers, minimizing high environmental and social cost. Battery Energy Storage System, BESS, is being slowly adopted for stabilization of national grid as well as the energy storage. We are also diversifying our energy mix through hybrid mini-grid systems which combine solar and wind power. So far, 2,000 of such systems has been installed which have produced more than 334 kilowatt of electricity for the local communities. Looking ahead, the ministry is developing a 12-year comprehensive plan aimed at producing over 30,000 megawatt of electricity, double the expected demand of that time. Despite needing improvements, the hydropower of Nepal serves as the most promising sector right now. But some are quick to jump in, waving their hands about Nepal importing electricity during the dry season. Oh, how clever. They think they have cracked the code, like they have just discovered fire. But isn't it fascinating how they conveniently forgot other half of the story, the part where Nepal exports billions of rupees worth electricity every year. How convenient for them. Let's set the record straight. In just first 5 months of this fiscal year only, I repeat, in just the first 5 months of this fiscal year, Nepal exported 1.76 billion units of electricity to India, earning 13 billion Nepalese rupees. What? Want to know the average rates? Nepalese rupees 7.39 per unit, all sold in Indian Energy Exchange and directly to Indian states like Haryana and Bihar through bilateral agreements. Not to mention, Nepal began exporting 40 megawatt of electricity to Bangladesh via India's transmission line. Yet our self-proclaimed energy experts think that this doesn't exist. They see Nepal importing power in dry season and think the government is falling. But did they ever bother to ask themselves, why is this happening? Of course not. That would require analysis. They act as if energy policy is like ordering a momo. Just pick and choose what suits the narrative. But you know what we believe? Kaak karodei garcha, pina sukdei garcha. That's why we are actively working to ensure Nepal becomes a true energy powerhouse. Not just in word, but in action. While some sit comfortably in their armchairs pointing fingers, we are out in the field building Nepal's energy future. But let me be clear with you all. Constructive criticisms is welcome, but let's ensure it is backed by actionable plans, not just word. Sahakarya hi sarva siddhi. Teamwork is the key to all success. So I say, instead of engaging in baseless debates, let's focus on real solutions. Together, let's light up Nepal. One project, one innovation, and one vision at a time. Thank you, Jai Nepal.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I request Honorable MP Niket Risal to raise the question to Ministry of Health and Population.
Today, I would like to raise a question towards the Minister of Health and Population with prior permission from the Right Honorable Speaker. Minister, it has been recently confirmed by Nepal's health authorities that the malaria elimination target has been postponed to 2030, aligning with the World Health Organization's target after efforts in order to contain the spread of the disease have proved ineffective, and it became impossible to declare Nepal as a malaria-free nation by the original deadline, which was 2026, just 1 year away from now. Now, Minister, I'm eager to know, what are the countermeasures being done by the ministry in order to ensure that the newly reenacted 2030 target does not get another setback as well? Projects like this, which have the potential to save thousands of lives, must not be slept on and cannot continue to be postponed in this manner. Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, respected members of the esteemed Parliament, my fellow citizens. We gather here today with a shared responsibility, bound by a duty to the people of this great nation. We are, after all, not just lawmakers or politicians. We are the voices of those who cannot always speak for themselves. And the question that has been raised today strikes at the very heart of our duty. Why has this government decided to extend the malaria eradication campaign, and more importantly, what are the actions that the government is going to take to ensure the health and safety of every Nepal citizen? Right Honourable Speaker, let me be clear. This is not a decision we took lightly. It's a decision based in science, data, facts, and driven by a compassion for our fellow citizens. Malaria, as many of you may know, is not just an illness. It is a disease that has ravaged the rural population of our country for decades. It's a disease that strikes the vulnerable the hardest, the children, the pregnant women, and the elderly. And although we have made tremendous progress, we are not just there yet. Right Honourable Speaker, let me give you the facts first. In the last 5 years alone, we have been able to reduce the transmission rate, malaria transmission rates in Nepal by over 60%. In 200,000 cases in 2010, we now roughly stand at around 75,000 cases per year. That is progress which gives us hope. But we cannot stop at 75,000 cases only. We have a moral obligation to bring that number down to zero. We must extend the timeline because although, despite our success, we are seeing resistance. Yes, mosquitoes are becoming more and more resilient. The disease itself is adapting, and certain regions, particularly in the Terai and lower-lying areas of our country, remain hotbeds of transmission. These are the areas where our brothers and sisters live in difficult conditions, where health services are stressed thin. And if we abandon them right now, we risk conducting all the activities we have done so far. Right Honourable Speaker, now what actions are we taking? First and foremost, we are scaling up our distribution of long-lasting insecticide-treated bed nets. These bed nets have proven to reduce the malaria transmission rates in affected areas by 40 to 50%. We'll ensure that by the end of the next year, every household in highly affected areas has at least one, and we will mobilize local healthcare workers to ensure families know how to use them.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now, before moving forward, I would like to pause the session for a moment and hand over the chair to the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the Parliament for further proceedings.
The best decisions comes from the best discussion. As we continue this session, let us remember, leadership is not about power, but it's about purpose. Let our words build, not divide. Let our actions lead, not delay. With that, let's proceed with the same determination, enthusiasm, and purpose. The session continues now. So, I would like to request Honorable MP Anushka Basnet to raise the question to the Ministry of Labour, Employment and Social Security, followed by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, your government has made countless promises regarding the improvement of labour conditions. There still seems to be a vast gap between promises and the reality. केवल बाचा गरेर मात्र हुँदैन, काम पनि सही ढंगले नै गरेर देखाउनु पर्दछ। समाजका हरेक वर्गका नागरिकका लागि समान अधिकार र अवसर सुनिश्चित गर्नुपर्दछ, विशेष गरी महिलाहरू र अपङ्गतासँग गुज्रिरहेका व्यक्तिहरूका लागि। So, Honourable Minister, when will the government take real effective steps to address the issues that are being faced by the labourers? How will your government ensure that women, disabled people, and marginalized groups receive fair wages, the protection of their human rights, and an equal opportunity to thrive in the workforce? And when will this government move from promises to concrete action that ensure respect, dignity, and empowerment for all the workers? Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, esteemed members of the Parliament and fellow citizens. I stand before you today as a Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, and as someone who is working really hard for the workers of our country. Unlike opposition, who is just sitting comfortably on the sofas with the AC turned on and thinking, oh my God, how can I blame how can I blame them for their mistakes, but not the present one, the past mistakes. Let me talk about the opposition. They love to throw stones, but they can't even throw a pebble without breaking their own window. They remind me of a guy who complains about everything at the party: food, music, gifts, decorations, and everything. And he thinks about himself, oh my God, if I had got the insurance, then I could make this so beautiful. But when the actual time to do, then they are the first one to leave the place, and they just vanish like a magician. विपक्षीहरू सडकको कुनामा उभिएका भाषण दिने र वास्तवमा कहिल्यै पनि काम नगर्ने व्यक्तिहरू जस्तै नै छन्। हात्ती आयो भने त्यो झाडी होइन जुन डरलाग्दो हुन्छ। We are here talking, taking bold action. We are not afraid of the opposition hollow threats. Now let's talk about the gender equality.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Now I now invite Honorable MP Nikita Khimire to put the question to the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, followed by the Ministry of Law.
Right Honorable Speaker Madam, through you, I rise to sow the seed of a critical question to the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Nepal, often hailed as an agrarian nation where over 60% of the population tills the soil for their livelihood, finds itself in a paradoxical situation. Despite this agricultural identity, this very government spends billions of rupees annually to import agricultural products to feed its people. A bitter pill. I say a bitter pill to swallow for a country so rich in fertile land and hard-working farmers. Recently in Chitwan, farmers were forced to dump vegetables on the roads in protest after failing to find buyers. They pointed fingers, and rightly so, at the influx of cheaper Indian vegetables which have uprooted local produce from our very own market.
First and foremost, I extend my gratitude to the Madam Speaker for allowing me to address this assembly. Now, for the sake of those still fumbling in the dark, let me shed some light on the facts. Facts that the opposition conveniently ignores while they waste their time on empty talk instead of real solutions. Nepal's agriculture sector is not stagnant, it is evolving. We are implementing precision agriculture, vertical farming, and climate-resilient techniques with climate-adaptive crops like stress-tolerant rice, drought-tolerant maize, and salt-resistant wheat. But I suppose expecting the opposition to acknowledge progress is like expecting a fish to climb a tree. Irrigation, done. Large-scale irrigation projects like Sikta and Rani Zamara Kularia irrigation projects, as well as Bhiribhave multipurpose projects, are already underway, ensuring water availability for thousands of farmers. Fertilizers, improved seeds, and modern equipment subsidized and distributed. Better roads, expanded storage, and improved transportation being developed as we right now speak. But let's get to the part with undeniable facts. Digital platforms like Krishi Kisan are cutting out middlemen exploitations, directly linking farmers with buyers while also ensuring fair pricing. Mechanization programs are reducing labor dependency, increasing efficiency, and government-backed loans with low interest rates are empowering farmers while also bringing over youths towards this sector. And yet, despite all of this, the opposition's biggest concern seems to be how loud they can shout rather than how much they can contribute. Now let's talk about global partnerships. The World Bank-funded Nepal Agriculture Transformation Project is boosting productivity while also maintaining sustainability. Similarly, our Asian Development Bank partnership is building better infrastructure and expanding irrigation. Various research institutions are developing high-yield pest resistance and climate-adaptive crops, and training centers are equipping farmers with necessary skills to adapt cutting-edge technologies. And now, a final word to the opposition. I know facts can be inconvenient for those who prefer loud accusations over actual solutions. But as the saying goes, it is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. So I advise you, my dear oppositions, educate
Honorable
yourselves.
Minister, due to the time limitation, please wrap up your speech. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Please consider the time limitation. I repeat, Honorable MPs are given 1 minute to raise the question and Ministers are given 2 minutes to answer. Honorable MP Samridha Bhattrai, now it's your turn to raise the query to the Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, followed by the Ministry of Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Nepal boasts rich cultural diversity, yet minorities, women and the LGBTQI+ community face daily discrimination. The Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs claim to work tirelessly. But Minister, where are the results? Or is the ministry busy delivering speeches while Operation thrives? Madam Speaker, आम नागरिकलाई न्याय दिनु भनेको चैते धान खानु झै भनेको छ। मन्त्रीज्यूलाई देश बनाउनु भन्दा नाटक देखाउनुमा बढी रुचि छ। The minister speaks of efforts, yet injustice remains the reality for countless Nepalese. But if those policies do exist, why is it that discrimination persists while a ministry watches like a timid cat? Minister, Mantriज्यू, झरीमा परेको कुकुर जस्तो, you sit idle while people suffer. You hear, you see, but don't act. So tell me, Minister, will you keep polishing your chair or finally do your job? Thank you.
With the prior permission of Honorable Speaker, respected members, and of course the opposition, whose talent for complaining far surpasses their ability to govern, I'd like to begin with a quote from Francis Wright, a Scottish lecturer and a social reformer. The quote goes by, equality, yes, you heard me right, equality is the soul of liberty. There is, in fact, no liberty without it. Now, this is a fairly simple concept, but just in case the opposition is struggling, let me put it this way. If freedom is a tree, then equality is its root. Without equality, freedom is just a hollow illusion, much like the opposition's argument, loud, dramatic, and utterly baseless. But let's get to the real issue. The opposition's favorite pastime, complaining. While we are busy making laws, they are busy making noise. While we build justice, they build conspiracies. And while we are securing rights for the people, they are securing what exactly? Perhaps their reputation as professional crybabies. After all, the roar of a lion commands respect. The squeaks of a mouse are just an irritation. But before we start, let me search for something. I think something is missing. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No? I'm sorry, my dear opposition. I was searching for your same along, but it seems that you don't have any same at all to search for. Well, unlike the opposition, now let's move forward. Nepal is committed to achieving equality for its marginalized communities. The ministry isn't tossing around empty promises. We have implemented concrete initiatives. For instance, reformed legal aid system. We have strengthened socio-legal aid services nationwide, making legal assistance accessible to those who previously saw justice as a distant dream. This isn't just paperwork. It is ensuring that even a farmer in Humla has the same legal voice as a businessman in Kathmandu. Judicial committees at local level. We have fortified judicial committees in local bodies. Now, justice is no longer confined to the courtrooms of Kathmandu. It now reaches every village and every ward.
Honorable Minister, please wrap up your speech.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Madam, respected colleagues and fellow citizens of my disguised nation, warm greeting to everybody. Let me begin with simple truth. Nepal's transportation project has been stuck in first gear for far too long. While some of the opposition are still busy reinventing the wheel, we are building the highways to the future. As Sanskrit saying goes on, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhin, may all be happy. But let's be real. Let's be real. Happiness is hard to achieve when you are stuck in traffic for 3 hours or when your village road disappears every monsoon. So today I am here to tell you guys how we are fixing this mess and maybe roast a few individuals along the way. Let's talk about Kathmandu. If you have ever been stuck in traffic here, you know it's less of a commute and more of a taste of passion. Roads are overcrowded. Public transportation is frankly a joke. But while some of the educated, privileged opposition are still debating over making flyover design from Stone Age, we are actually rolling out Podway, an aerial transportation system that will soar above the city. And to the electric bus initiative, yes, we are finally upgrading from vehicles that cough more smoke than TikTok influencer. Take note, this is called innovation, not just recycling old idea with fresh coat of paint. Now let's talk about rural roads. For decades, they have been a horror story. Narrow, muddy, and as reliable as opposition politicians promise. While other opposition treat rural connectivity like a myth, we are building Mid-Hill Puspalal Highway, or road so sturdy, even the monsoon will respect it. And to the Humla Karnali corridor, yes, And to the Humla Karnal corridor, this is not just a road, it's a digital finger to everybody who said remote area does not deserve infrastructure. Spoiler alert, they do. And Kathmandu Tarai Expressway, yes, it's delayed, yes, it's over budget, but while somewhere still figuring out how to lay a foundation, we are actually building one. This expressway will cut travel time between Kathmandu and Tarai,
Honorable Minister, please wrap up your speech.
proving that progress is possible if you stop arguing and start working. Let's talk about pollution. Kathmandu air quality is so bad, it's like breathing through a car exhaust. While other educated opposition blame external factor for this problem, we are rolling out electric vehicles and charging station because clean air is not a privilege, it's a right. I again repeat, clean air is not a privilege, it's a right. And to those who still drive smoke bleaching vehicle from 1980s, your car is not vintage, it's crime against humanity. Your car is not vintage, it's crime against humanity. Honorable Speaker, while some opposition were busy making PowerPoint presentation about progress, we are actually building one. From portway to rural highways, electric vehicle to smart cities, we are creating a transportation system that works for everyone, because at the end of the day, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhin is not just a course, it's our mission. So let's stop blaming and start fixing. Let's create a Nepal where progress is not just a dream but reality. Jai Nepal.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I would like to provide the floor to Honorable MP Samriddhi Baskota to raise the questionnaire to the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizen, followed by the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Through you, I would like to ask the question to Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizen of Nepal. Yatra naryastu pujayante ramaniti tatra devataha. It means where women are respected and honored, there the God dwells and brings prosperity. However, in Nepal, the safety of women remains a critical issue despite various laws and policies aimed at addressing gender-based violence. Alarming cases of rape, domestic violence, human trafficking highlight the systemic failure to protect women. Public spaces and transportation remain unsafe for women, especially at night, while rural areas face even more severe challenges with limited access to legal and psychological support. The growing number of incidents calls for immediate and effective intervention. So, what decisive measures is the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizens of Nepal implementing to tackle the escalating safety crisis for women and ensure accountability in addressing these issues?
Honorable Speaker, respected members of the Parliament and the people of Nepal. Let me begin with a bitter reality. Women in Nepal still do not feel safe. They walk with keys clenched between their fingers, they hesitate before speaking up, and in far too many cases, their cries for justice echo in silence. And let's be clear, this is not a woman's issue. This is a national emergency. A country cannot call itself developed, democratic, or just if half its population still lives in fear. Women's safety is not a privilege, it is a right. And when that right is violated, it is not the woman who should be ashamed. It's the system, the society, and the criminals who dare to think they can get away with it. But let me also make one thing very clear. This government refuses to stay silent because safety is not just about passing laws, it's about making sure those work where it matters. On the streets, in homes, in workplaces, in villages, and in the hearts of every woman who dare to dream of a safer tomorrow. So, what has been done? Honorable members, let's talk about action. Because speeches alone don't bring change, actions do. Fast track courts for gender-based violence, GBV cases. No more excuses, no more delays. We now have fast track courts to ensure speedy trials for cases of rape, domestic violence, and assault. Justice delayed is justice denied. So we're making sure justice is swift. Harassment-free workplaces and streets. The Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention Act is no longer just words on paper. It is the law of the land. Employers are now required...
Honorable Minister, due to the time limitation, please wrap up your speech.
We are not just implementing policies, we are building a movement where every Nepali stands together to say women deserve safety, respect, and equality. But this is not just a ministry's fight, it's everyone's fight. We need families, communities, and leaders at every level to stand with us. Let's be clear, women do not need your sympathy, they need your action. Women do not need permission to be safe, they have right to safety. And to every girl, every woman listening today, walk outside without fear, because this country is as much yours as anyone else's. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and respected members of the Parliament.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable MP Supreme Khanal, now you are given a minute to raise the question to the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, followed by the Ministry of Forest.
Freedom of speech is the pillar of democracy. Without it, democracy crumbles. Honorable Minister of Information and Communication Technology, recently you introduced the Social Media Bill 2081, and I must say it's like a how-to guide for creating a nation of speechless citizens. Your bill may have started with the idea of tackling cybercrime, but now it looks more like a plan to control every word we say online. We need laws against cyber crimes, तर भ्रष्टाचार गर्ने नेताहरूलाई होइन, मिम बनाउने युवाहरूलाई जेल हाल्नु पर्यो भनेर जेल हाल्ने कानुन बनाउनु पर्यो भनेर कसले सुझाव दियो तपाईलाई? 5 years in jail for online speech. Is this your upgrade to democracy where we fear speaking freely? And next, what? Do we need government approval to post status on Facebook? The Social Media Bill 2081 is in direct contradiction with the Article 17 of the Nepalese Constitution, which guarantees the freedom of speech and expression. Article 17 clearly states that every citizen has the right to express their thoughts, ideas, and opinions freely. But this bill seeks to restrict online speech in a way that violates the very principles laid in our Constitution. If that's not the fast track to a dictatorship, then I don't know what is. Here's the thing. Nepal already has laws to punish cyber crimes, but instead of improvising and effectively implementing those laws, this bill turns citizens into potential criminals for speaking their mind. Do you plan to fill up the jails of Nepal with innocent citizens who dare to have an opinion? Lastly, let's talk about corruption. If someone exposes a corrupt leader online, will they face charges for spreading false information? Minister, is this bill really about protecting the people, or is it just a convenient tool for the government to hide their wrongdoings and crush freedom of speech?
Right, Honorable Speaker. Through you, I stand in this esteemed parliament with the intention of making our efforts toward the ICT sector worthwhile. The concerns raised by the opposition are admirable, yet useless. And when you relate this topic to topics such as, corruption, dictatorship, I think it's preposterous. I feel that you have not understood our goals in the slightest. Now, let me be clear. This bill is not an attempt to stifle freedom of speech in any way, but a necessary step to protect our national security, public order, and the well-being of all of our citizens in this era of national digital transformation. So, you ask what defines against national interest. Well, I think common sense can answer that one for you. You ask, well, we are a democracy, and in no way whatsoever are we attempting to silence the voices of our beloved citizens. Rather, we are slamming doors in the faces of unhealthy cyber thieves who spread lies about the Nepali government. This bill does not aim for omitting citizens to speak their mind, but for preventing criminals from spreading harm around the internet. Now, the fact that you try to relate this to dictatorship is just preposterous. Our government has been on a long and tedious, determined path to reach full democracy for decades. And once we finally reach it, you call it dictatorship? The fact that this is being treated as a bill voted on by the members of our government is enough to deny any type of dictatorship of any kind. We are not limiting the freedom of our citizens in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, we are protecting them. So now, let's look into it.
Honorable Minister, due to the limited time, please wrap up your say.
Now let's see, Nepal does have laws against cybercrime, but when our cyber situation worsens, what do you expect us to do? Just sit around like cow tournaments? No, we'll implement more and more policies until we reach our final goal, building a digitally resilient nation. So when you say it is not necessary to create new laws now, how else do you expect us to build our nation stronger? At this point, you're just acting like a sideline coach, always shouting plays, but never actually stepping on the field. Now, let me assure you that this bill is not a tool to shield corrupt leaders in any way. Exposing corruption with factual evidence remains a fundamental right. No one will be punished for speaking the truth. What the bill seeks to prevent is the spread of deliberate misinformation that can murder reputations, which is a growing issue in the digital age. So if a law-abiding citizen will not be jailed for exposing a corrupt leader. However, if they expose a corrupt leader while knowing that the claims are 100% false and with the intention of
Honorable
causing...
Minister, please take your seat. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now I would like to pause this session for some time and hand over the seat back to the Right Honorable Speaker of this Youth Parliament for the further proceeding.
अब यस गरिमामय संसदको एक क्षण पनि खेर नफ्याली उही प्रतिबद्धताका साथ अघि बढौँ र एक चीज मैले भन्न चाहे अब प्रश्न सोध्नलाई एक मिनेट दिनेछ र सिधै प्रश्न कुनै भूमिका नबादी प्रश्न सोधिन परिनेछ र मन्त्रीहरूले सिधै कुनै भूमिका नबादी आफ्नो मन्तव्य राख्नु होला. So now I would like to call opposition leader, the member of opposition Divya Regni, to question to the Ministry of Forest and Environment.
Greetings to everyone. With the prior permission of Honorable Speaker and esteemed members, I direct my question to the Minister of Forest and Environment. Nepal's agriculture-driven economy is at the mercy of climate change, rising temperature, erecting rainfall, and deglaciation already weakening habit. The Dhading landslide caused by excessive rainfall and reckless road construction is yet grim reminder of humans' negligence mixed with nature's fury. Yet, let's face it, Nepal is suffering from immense crisis it barely contributed to. The world's biggest polluter continue the business as usual while we bear the brunt. Should we sit silently, hoping for the sympathy, or does our leadership lack for rightful compensation? Are we a sovereign nation or a beggars in a global era? Are we always going to wait while others reap the benefit? Respected Minister, spare us the usual scripted speeches. We have heard enough of those plans and policies on paper. We demand actions. What are the major concrete steps is the ministry taking right now to promote environmental sustainability and combat the growing threats by climate change and natural disasters? We expect answers, not excuses. बाँसुरी बजाएर हात्ती लखेडिँदैन भन्ने उखान त सुन्नु नै भएको छ होला नि. And respected Minister, let's not pretend Nepal runs on your report and policies. Because if it did, we would have been climate-resistant country right now, not disaster weeping the cities and villages. So let tell us, will we see a real action, or should we start engaging your Tom stabs of those prices in your inaction?
Honorable Speaker and the esteemed member of the Parliament, let us laugh before listening my answer. With your kind permission, I rise not just to answer a question, but rescue from the opposition's climate confusion. If their speeches could cool the planet, we would be in an ice age by now. Let us be clear. Nepal isn't a helpless victim. We are a resilient nation suffering from the consequences of pollution we didn't cause. And yet, some here act as if we should just accept it. The real criminals, the world's biggest polluters, keep cashing in while we pay the price. And instead of holding them accountable, you question our efforts. Instead of just pointing fingers at us, perhaps the opposition should recognize that we are actively fighting for Nepal's right on the global stage. We have been advocating for climate justice, securing international support, and punishing for accountability from the real culprits. So the question isn't what we are doing, it's why you refuse to acknowledge it. We are the creditors of environmental debt, yet some here act like we should just send a thank you note and move on. Climate change isn't a myth, but denial is the comedy. Rising temperature, erratic monsoons, and landslide aren't predictions.
Honorable Minister, please wrap up your speech.
They are daily news. Nature doesn't check party affiliations before striking it, but it certainly punishes ignorance. And while you keep demanding result, we, the ministry, have been working tirelessly, but you never see the effort, only the outcomes you expect overnight. Forest, not just for pretty pictures. Forest prevent floods, stop landslide, and keep our air breathable. Unlike opposition speeches, which just pollute the room, we are implementing reforestation project, enforcing stricter conservation policies, and working with the communities to protect natural resources. But of course, you would rather pretend nothing is being done just to score a political point. Biodiversity isn't buzzword, it's survival. Ignoring biodiversity isn't just killing animals, it's killing our future. We preserve wildlife corridors, crack down on illegal poaching, and ensure sustainable land use. Yet
Honorable
despite-
Minister, please take your seat. Now I would like to request Honorable MP Onisa Adhikari to raise the question to Youth and Sports Ministry.
Right, Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to ask the Honorable Minister of Sports and Youth. Nepal's sporting achievement have recently been making headlines with the successful hosting of NPL, Nepal Premier League, and the outstanding performance of our athletes. Our athletes whose talent has not only made the nation proud, but also proven that our Nepali athletes can shine on the international stage without any extra time needed. These milestones highlight Nepal's growing potential to emerge of a sports hub capable of hosting various national and international employment opportunities. But as we know, the Ministry of Sports and Youth in Nepal seems to have mastered the art of wasting money. With a budget of NRP 3.5 billion, one will think at least they will manage to provide athletes with decent facilities. But no, the system is so corrupt that even this significant amount seems to vanish into thin air. The ministry's track records, an endless loop of bureaucratic red tapes, mismanagement, and corruption, where the only thing developing is their ability to dodge the accountability. In the context, we haven't seen any progress in the fields of sports. So I'd like to ask the Honorable Minister, what strategical plans does the ministry aim to leverage the expanding and upgrading of sports infrastructure, such as building stadiums and training facilities, especially with a focus on empowering women in sports? Additionally, now does the ministry aim to leverage the success of events like NPL and women's football team achievements to attract international tournaments, promote tourism, and create sustainable employment opportunities for Nepali citizens? Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, through you, I'd like to answer the question raised by the opposition. What? Are you all shocked to see a minister playing with a ball in this parliamentary session? But what if I tell you that the opposition has been doing the same for many years? The only difference, while I was just playing with a ball, the opposition has been playing with the future of this nation. But enough about games, let's talk about reality. Since its establishment, the Ministry of Youth and Sports has worked tirelessly, day and night, to revolutionize sports and empower youths in the nation. We have built opportunities, strengthened infrastructure, and given our athletes the recognition that they deserve. But I guess opposition party lai hamro safalta nai pachena. That is why, even as we put our sweat and tears into the development of this nation, the only thing they put is a bunch of corrupted money into their own pockets. Parliamentarians, it is not my honor, neither my pleasure. However, it is my duty to respond to the opposition. So, dear opposition, आँखा नचम्काउनुहोस्, हात नलम्काउनुहोस्, र आउनुहोस् मैदानमा. Let the games begin. आज यस राष्ट्रिय सभा गृहमा हुन गइरहेको क्रिकेट मैदानमा दर्शकवृन्दलाई स्वागत छ. आफ्नो प्रश्नको प्रहारले आज बलिङ गर्नु हुँदैछ अपोजिसन पार्टीले भने आफ्नो कामको दममा ब्याट घुमाइराख्नु भएको छ रुलिङ पार्टीले. र गुगलीको रूपमा नेपालमा इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेभलपमेन्टको बारेमा प्रश्न गर्दै अपोजिसन पार्टीको पहिलो बल युवा तथा खेलकुद मन्त्रालयको ब्याट्सम्यान तम तयार अवस्थामा ब्याट्सम्यानको विश्वस्तरीय पूर्वाधार विकासको कडा प्रहार र यो बल चौका पोखरा विराटनगर र नेपालगञ्जमा स्टेडियम र प्रशिक्षण केन्द्रको विकास गरिरहेको र अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मञ्चमा खेलकुद खेलाडीहरूलाई चिनाइरहेको युवा तथा खेलकुद मन्त्रालयको शानदार पर्फर्मेन्स. पालो छ अर्को बलको खेलकुदको क्षेत्रमा रोजगारको बारेमा प्रश्न गरिरहेको अपोजिसन पार्टीको यो बल निकै स्पिडमा विकेटतर्फ पुग्दै ब्याट्सम्यानले बललाई हान्नुभयो, बल हावामा 8,000 भन्दा बढीलाई निर्माणको क्षेत्रमा जीविकोपार्जनको स्रोत बनेको र 2,000 भन्दा बढीलाई इभेन्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट र पर्फर्मेन्समा रोजगारको सिर्जना गरेको युवा तथा खेलकुद मन्त्रालयको बल यो स्टेडियम बाहिर र यो चक्का। यसैको साथ खेलको समाप्ति र खेलकुद युवा तथा खेलकुद मन्त्रालयको विजय। Before proceeding, I'd like to request everyone to applaud for the Nepal's women football team. They didn't just break barriers, they redrew the map. I guess it's not just Cheli Bachao, Cheli Padhao, but also Cheli Khilao, Desh Banao. In response to the growing participation of women in sports, we're building 3 women-exclusive sports complexes in Kathmandu, Chitwan and Dhangadi with daycare centers because mothers shouldn't choose between medals and motherhood. We have also allocated 40% of coaching scholarships to women because this ministry does not exist in name alone. We are building a future where women lead, not just follow. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this flower. What is it that gives this flower its beauty? Is it its vibrant color or is it its mesmerizing fragrance? But what if I tell you it's actually none of those? What gives this flower its beauty is the unity of its petals. Just like if the flower would lose its beauty, if I were to tear off these petals, the parliament will lose its purpose unless the ruling and the opposition party put our hands together.
Honorable Minister, I request you to directly get to the points.
So, as the leaders chosen by the people of this glorious nation, let us join our hands together, not as the ruling or opposition party, but as the citizens of this glorious nation. Together, we can create a Nepal where every voice is heard, every dream is nurtured, and every citizen thrives. Where sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. Thank you.
Hereby, with this speech from our Honorable Minister, we have come to the end of today's parliamentary session. Respected guests, as we conclude this session, let us carry forward the spirit of constructive debate and collaboration. I hope this session has proven to be the new step to the development. I hope this session has proven to be the new step towards the development of nation. Hence, this parliament adjourns with hope for a better future, and I call this session dismissed. अब मैले काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाका शिक्षा तथा स्वास्थ्य समितिका संयोजक आदरणीय चिनिकाजी महर्जनज्यूलाई मञ्चमा आई मायाको चिनो स्वीकार्न र यस नमुना संसद बारेमा आफ्ना धारणा राखिदिनका निम्ति अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु।